Coach, what do you make of what Jerry Jones had to say?
Yeah, there's nothing he's saying that's untrue, except for his situation. It's not really true. Like, philosophically, you do need to plan long term. You need running back value tends to be a little bit different, and all those things. But Zeke is what was the quote? The straw that stirs the drink, and his money should start at least Todd Gurley's money. And so when you say all those things and you put that in place to now go and try to backtrack, it's difficult. But I understand what he's doing. Zeke goes to Mexico. They bring in Alfred Morris. Zeke says, basically, it's gonna go for a long time. He starts coming out and explaining to the fan base, hey, we've got to make tough decisions, prepping them for the fact that Zeke's probably not going to be there for a long, long time.
And I understand the philosophy, and the philosophy is correct, which is running back value is at an all-time low. It is becoming a more fungible position. We are seeing guys drafted mid-rounds, even guys undrafted, come in and all of a sudden, I mean, Kareem Hunt wasn't some super high draft pick when he won the rushing title his rookie year, the year Zeke was suspended. We have seen a lot of guys come, not necessarily out of nowhere, but not be a top 5 pick and have great production. But the Cowboys are not in that situation, though, because of the situation they have at quarterback. But the other element of this that is frustrating to me, just watching it, is where is the decision flow? Meaning, it was Jerry and Stephen Jones who were in charge when they took Zeke in the top 5, right? When they took Zeke in the top 5, with their highest expectations, has he met them? 2 rushing titles in 3 years, all this production? Yes. So they knew what the world.
How long was he suspended for?
6 games.
Okay.
He was suspended for 6 games in year 2. And if
do you think that was part of their expectations?
I do not think it was, but I also think the Cowboys have made it very clear that is not part of this. The Cowboys have not once, not when he was going through this offseason, and when he went through what he went through 2 years ago, Jerry wasn't out there saying, man, Zeke screwed up. Jerry was out there saying, the league screwed us. So that, even if maybe that shouldn't be what he was doing, but that is, their stance has been, we love Zeke, we'll put our arms around Zeke.
No, I think they do love Zeke, but it's also business. And if someone misses 6 games and then also has an incident this offseason where potentially some more games could have been missed, those things start coming into the equation.
But, Coach, they said he's the straw that stirs the drink, and his contract is going to start at Todd Gurley's contract in May, well after he'd missed those 6 games, knowing this information. And the point that I was trying to make is, if you think running back's a fungible position, fair enough. But then don't draft one in the top 5 and then tell the whole world how much you love him and need him. Like, that doesn't make sense. They have not acted as if they're a team that believes you don't need a rushing champ. They've acted as if they think we desperately needed one rather than Jalen Ramsey, rather than one of those great players who was available from that draft class. And then he's produced to that level, and now they're getting hesitant on paying him.
Well, as coach, you got to go back to Coach's point, though, that for the last 30 years, since Jerry has owned that team, Nick, they have had players with brushes with the law, domestic violence, drugs, everything you think could happen, it's happened to the Cowboys. And every single time, Jerry supported them. So your case saying, oh, they support, that's what they always do. All their suspended players, what'd they do? Support them. When they came back, act as if nothing happened. But that's only to the public. Behind the scenes, you put measures in place when you have a player that potentially might miss some time. When you have a player, when you started doing some of the background check, Ezekiel Elliott, there were some things from Ohio State that you said, ugh. Now, you might not talk about them at the press conference, but, Jerry, they realize them. And then now you've missed time, and then now you go to a concert there in Vegas, and now you're back in the commissioner's office again? You think Jerry and them aren't thinking about that long term? The reason why they're going to pay Dak is because they believe in him long term. They believe in his character, and they believe he's going to continue to develop. Zeke, they don't know, even though they won't admit it. Jerry knows he's had players exactly like Ezekiel before. How he's handled them has helped change the course of this franchise. But to think behind the scenes they're not holding this against them, you'd be naive. Because they went on record to saying, yes, we'd like to get them Todd Gurley type money. But The offer they gave him was embarrassing, and that's why Zeke is in Cabo.
And you got to wonder, are they surprised by the way that Zeke's handled it? They have been very supportive of him, and to Chris's point, that's how Jerry operates, and it's not out of the norm. But are they surprised that the way he's handled this holdout? It really came out, what, at the ESPYs, where he started talking about, I may not show up, and then suddenly he doesn't show up at the last minute, and now he goes to Cabo. You would think that if he was really trying to push this deal forward, this would have started being addressed at the start of the offseason when you had the most time to plan. This feels a little bit like, I'm going to wait till the absolute last minute where I can leverage you as much as I possibly can, and then I'm leaving. So if Jerry looks at this as, we're friends, I'm trying to take care of you, I've always been supportive, and then Zeke turns around and says, yeah, I'm going to leverage you like crazy, I can see where guys are butting heads.
This is seemingly heading in the direction, or has the feel of, neither side is going to cave at this point. It's not like Ezekiel Elliott is nearby waiting for the deal to work out. I mean, he's left. He's down in Cabo now. The team already have signed another running back. How do you see this playing out? Do you think this bleeds into the regular season?
I think you've got a real potential to bleed into the regular season, because just listening to Jerry talk, it sounds a little bit bristly. It sounds a little bit like he's annoyed by this. It sounds a little bit more than just business. And the last person you want to have that hardened stance is the owner. Yeah, and you start pushing him back into a corner, it's difficult to get a deal done.
I believe they're going to have a hard time coming to a deal, because Dak has to be signed before the first game. I don't believe that they're going to use that franchise. Now, the franchise tag, they're lucky they got a guy like Amari Cooper. I'm telling you, this kid, he can date my daughter. I'm telling you, he is a great. He's like, I got a contract, not worried about it, don't bring it up. I mean, he's in the 5th year of his first-year contract. He's like, don't bring it up. So that helps Zeke. Dak ain't trying to push his contract off. Dak's like, I need to get paid this year. And if they pay Zeke first, how much real money do they have left? They're going to have to dismantle this team in the next year and a half if they sign both of them to ginormous top 5 contracts. Well, they're going to be in a bad financial spot.
Well, and that is where, and I'm not defending Zeke's off-the-field behavior at all. I want to make that clear. I'm just trying to talk about where I think his perspective on the situation is. But the other thing you mentioned there with Amari and Dak, that is where I'm sure some of Zeke's frustration comes from, which is, so hold on, let's just think about this for a moment. The reason that we've got Amari potentially ahead of me in line is because you traded a first-round pick for him. Why? Because our quarterback needed help. Because the offense wasn't working, because we have a limited quarterback who needed more help. So we traded for Amari, not just to get the help, but so we could find out about Dak. And now, so because Dak needed help, you brought in someone new. Instead of, you could have used a first-round pick who wouldn't have taken up a bunch of money. You used that pick to go give a guy who now you're going to have to pay. Now Dak, because he finally played similar to how he played his rookie year, the second half of the year with Amari, now he's going to get paid too. Man, I've been great since the moment you got me. I was great at Ohio State, brought them a national championship. I was rushing title my rookie year here. I've been, as Cris keeps saying, the best player on your team since week 1, my rookie year. And now, everything about the quarterback. This quarterback, who they might be buddies with, but Zeke knows Dak is not the caliber of football player he is. Dak's in no one's discussion for top 5 at his position, probably not top 10 at his position. And so, I'd be a little frustrated. Like, to help him, you brought in another guy. Now, this other guy's got to get paid, too. We have less salary cap space because we don't have a cheap rookie on the deal. Instead, we have an expensive wide receiver. Why? To help the quarterback.
The only reason why you'd be frustrated is because Todd Gurley. And what Todd Gurley and the Rams did, that's not the Cowboys' fault. Because the reason why they're in front of you is because they're in front of you. Their contracts are up. It's logically how this is going to work. You got 2 years. Yeah, you've been better than me, but I'm in line. I got here before you. So just wait your turn. Just like everyone else, that's what the players are going to be saying. And just because some other team decides to do something crazy, it's just like Edelman. Edelman's the best receiver for New England. And they're paying him $7 million. So now you're in Atlanta, Julio Jones, oh, I should do what Edelman did? That ain't my business, what they're doing. And the Rams and what they did got the Dallas Cowboys and Jerry Jones got their business screwed up.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.